What's up, guys? Jeff here. Today I want to talk to you about the importance of mobility work and why you need to be doing it to eliminate pain. Earlier this week, I wrote a post about understanding pain. And if you didn't read it, basically what I explained is why pain happens. And pain happens because of a dysfunction. Okay, unless you've been struck by a car, had a fall, anything like that where you had an incident that caused a direct issue or pain. Pain is caused by dysfunction. Pain is not the leader into dysfunction. What this means is that dysfunction, so a mobility issue, a problem with your posture, these sorts of things lead to pain. Okay, the best way to think about this is if we had our car, as we're driving our car, if we had a signal come on our dashboard saying, hey, check your tire pressure or check your engine light. These things are the same as what pain is. Pain is the alert mechanism our body sends to us to say, hey, something's going on here. It's not the inspection point, okay? So what I'm saying here is that if I had my check engine light come on and I start disassembling my dashboard, I'm not going to be fixing the actual problem. I'm going to be fixing something that has nothing to do with the actual problem. It's just the signal that we're getting. It's just where we're getting displays of what's going on. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Now, why it's important for you to be doing mobility work is because mobility helps dissolve dysfunction. Mobility oftentimes can help you move better, move safer, and also help fix posture and some issues that you might have. Okay, so let's take it back a little bit and kind of break this down. If you're not in the fitness industry, you've probably never heard of this, but our bodies work in what's called a joint-by-joint approach. Each joint is either stable, okay, or mobile. So for instance, if we're looking at my arm, so we have three joints here. We have our wrist, we have our elbow, and we have our shoulder. These joints are either stable or mobile. They go in an alternating pattern. So what this means is my wrist should be mobile, my elbow should be stable, my shoulder should be mobile, and then we actually have a fourth component back here, which is our scapula, which should be stable. Okay? So if, for instance, I don't have mobility in my wrist, okay, which I do have a good amount, if I don't have mobility in my wrist and I need to do some sort of articulation with my wrist, what would end up happening is if this is blocked, my elbow, which is upstream here, needs to start becoming mobile. If this happens, this causes pain and dysfunction. Okay? So if let's go back down to the lower body now, and I'll just go through each joint as we move. Obviously my camera's not going to move with me, but the lower body, up, we'll start there, is very similar to the arm and wrist, whatnot. So if we were looking at the foot, we've got our ankle, which is just like the wrist, it's mobile. Our knee, just like our elbow, stable. Our hip, just like our shoulder, mobile. Then we've got our low back, so basically our low back, which is mobile, just like our scapula. And then we've got this piece of upper back, so our thoracic spine, which connects the scapula and the low spine together, and that is supposed to be mobile. Okay, so if we were to say go to our lower body movements now, a perfect example of how dysfunction leads to pain would be if I was walking down the street and I didn't have mobility in my ankle like it should. That's why we can walk, extend, flex, rotate in and out with our ankle to allow mobility in that joint. Now, if my ankle mobility is not there and I'm walking on an unstable surface, say I'm walking on a riverbed with lots of rocks, and I don't have that mobility in my ankle to allow it to articulate around the unstable surfaces, my knee now has to do the movement, which now, because the knee is not supposed to be mobile, creates a problem in the knee. So what we end up doing, or most people end up doing, is now going to the knee itself and saying, hey, I'm going to do knee rehabilitation without any adjustment to up or downstream. So that would be looking at articulation of the hip, seeing if it's mobile, seeing if the ankle itself is mobile. So what you'll often see is if you have pain, it's just like the dashboard. all it's doing is signaling you that something is wrong. So if you actually take the time and look up or downstream to the next joint, up and down, you can start to see what's going on. Most times you don't have issues in your wrist or ankles unless you have stiff wrist or ankles. You'll oftentimes follow that up with issues in your elbow or knee. If you're unable to move or articulate in your hip, so that might be pivoting, right? If you're unable to pivot in your hip, which you can't see my lower body at the moment, then my knee is going to create that rotation that it does not or is not supposed to be able to do. Okay, so let's look at this again. If I'm unable to move through my shoulder here, I'm either going to have pain in my elbow or my scapula, so the rear posterior portion of my back. If I don't have any hip mobility, I'm probably going to have either knee pain or low back pain because I have to create rotation and mobility from the hip joint up or below that joint. Okay, so hopefully this helps you out, and instead of reconfiguring the dashboard and going in and hammering on the dashboard because you get a check tire light, you can actually assess yourself in a way that will help you get back on track, help you continue to work out and see results without fixing the wrong problem. All right, if you have any questions, feel free to just comment below and I'll do my best to help you. But obviously, I want you to know why your body is in pain. And again, pain is just a signal, okay? Unless it's caused by a direct source of collision, impact, something like that. So if I got hit by a car and my knee hurts, it's going to be because of the collision. However, if you have not been in a severe accident, a fall, a drop, anything like that, been hit by a car, pain is a secondary piece off of dysfunction. Fix dysfunction, fix pain. All right, guys, take care.